What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're back on the SP404-MK2 and I'm going to be talking about my new favourite effect on this device, which is Stopper. Stopper adds a really cool effect and it actually replaces something that I was doing with DJ FX Looper. It makes that task a lot easier. All will be revealed in this video. I'm going to show you my settings for what I use, how I implement it, and hopefully you'll be able to use it in your beats moving forward. Before we get going guys, just quickly let me tell you about all the links in the description. They keep me funded making content and videos like this, so I'd really appreciate you check all that out, particularly spvids.com. I've got all my drum packs and merch on there. It really does go a long way and keeps me doing what I'm doing here. Right, let's get down to the device and I can show you all about Stopper. Okay, so here we are down at the device, and the first thing that I just want to point out is that I have reassigned Stopper to be the resonator button. It's a performance effect for me, so I want good, quick access to it. This used to be Crusher for me, but I don't really use Crusher as a performance effect. I use that for kind of sample treatment, so I don't need that to be quickly accessed anymore, but Stopper I actually do because I want quick access to all the things that I use for performance, really. It may say resonator on this button, and obviously that's a gripe that a lot of us have got with these MFX buttons. Because they're reassignable, it would have been much better if they would have used more generic language on these buttons, but that's what it is. So resonator is Stopper, that's all you need to know. So first of all, I'll just let you know what this effect sounds like and what I've been getting it to sound like and why I like it. And then I'll go into explain the settings that I use, and I'll kind of try and explain where I use it as well, but that's quite a difficult thing to do. Hopefully I can show you through examples anyway. I've got this loop here that I've been working on. And let's give it a go. I just love that. It's a really, really nice effect. It's really smooth now that I've got my settings dialed in, and I just enjoy using that a lot. So previously, I was actually trying to create this effect with DJ FX Looper, and you can do that, but it's a lot more fiddly to do because you're having to press a combination of buttons. And basically what I was doing for that is using the middle dial of the three to sort of drop the speed manually like that. And then you have to quickly take the button off as well. So I can actually show you a demonstration of what I used to do. So that's a very, very similar effect, but I just find that a little bit more fiddly because you have to take the button off to finish the effect. If you leave it on, this happens. So you have to make sure to take that button off after you finish the effect. So yeah, it's just a lot easier to use Stopper. I discovered Stopper and realized that this could do that job a lot better, basically. This is kind of purpose designed to do that job. Okay, so let's get on to the settings. So you can see here, I've got the three different settings or parameters across the top. I've got depth, rate, and resonance, and you can see obviously that depth is 100, rate is 1/4, and resonance is 0. Now you can tweak these to taste. If you want a different sound, by all means go ahead. I will try and explain what each one does. Describing sound is pretty difficult with words. Depth, I would say, is basically the severity of the effect. So if I knock that right back to 0 and put this on this track, you'll definitely see what I mean. So when this loop is running, I'll do an example with 0 and then I'll put it up to 100 and do another example, and you should easily be able to hear the difference. Okay, so when it's on 0, it kind of almost sounds more like a fade than it does a stop. So I like to have that up at 100. I think that's where it sounds best, and it sounds most like a record being stopped. So that's the effect that I want. 1/4 in the middle here, the rate, that's the timing. So you can go faster if you wanted to. If you wanted a much quicker effect, I'll show you that as well. So say you went up to 1/8. Okay, so that's quicker obviously. If I go back into that and change it back to 1/4, that's exactly the speed that I want, so I have that set to 1/4. Resonance, I would say basically this kind of adds a more metallic sound to the effect when it's applied. I have that on 0, as you can see, but if I turn out to 100 and give you an example of that, you can hear there, I don't particularly like that sound, so I turn that to 0. I think it sounds a lot smoother when resonance is on 0. Okay, there's a second menu as well you can see from the arrows below. If I press that, you can see there's filter mod and amp mod. I don't change these at all. You can see here they're both on 100. If you want to go ahead and have a go at changing those, by all means do. What I would say is I had a little bit of an experiment with them earlier and I couldn't really find the difference that they were making. So I just leave both of those on 100 and that seems to be the sound that I enjoy the most. So yeah, I forget about the bottom menu basically. I don't really use that. So just to recap quickly, here we go, depth 100, rate a quarter, and resonance 0. So let's move on to the timing of when this is brought in. I would probably say that at the end of a bar is the best place to put it, and at the end of a loop works really well as well. Again, with these things, it's all personal taste, and you can play around and see if there's any other places where you can fit this in perfectly. But I always like to bring it in on a beat and release it on a beat as well. So I'll give you some examples. That's probably the best way to show you. I don't think there's really any other way. It's such a simple effect once you've got these set up the way I have. It's just a case of learning when to press it and when to release it. So here we go. Here's a demonstration. Okay, one of those was slightly longer than it should have been, but it actually ended up working quite nicely. So you could see there at the start of a bar or at the end of a bar works really well. Particularly works well at the end of, say, 2 bars in a 4-bar loop or at the end of 4 bars in a 4-bar loop. If you're not musically minded and don't know what any of those things mean, don't panic. Just do what feels right, use your ears, and you will get it eventually. So in terms of the timing, just spend a little bit of time practicing. All I'd say with this is that the release of the effect, to take it off, I found that when I started using this, I was doing it a little bit too early. So that could be my personal timing. You could be a little bit early, a little bit late. Just spend a bit of time practicing, getting that MFX button on and off at the right times. I'm sure you'll pick this up really easily because it's not too difficult to do. If I can do it, guys, then you can definitely do it. So yeah, just spend a little time practicing. Use those settings, and I'm sure you're going to really enjoy Stopper. I love this effect, and 100% it's my favourite effect on the SP404 Mark II at the moment. Okay, that is it for this one, guys. That is Stopper. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope it showed you something new. Let me know if you'll be integrating this in your workflow. Leave it in the comments below. Obviously, like I mentioned with the parameters, go ahead and do your own experimentations with those. Don't just rely on everything that I say. You might be able to find techniques that are more suited to what you're doing. So always make sure you go away and do your own experimentations. Thanks a lot for tuning in and watching. I will be back with more content very, very soon.